Hi everyone, this is Kellyanne with Church Windows again. We're going to go ahead and get started with today's user group webinar. Got the office phone saying 101, my cell phone says 1, the screen says 1259, so we'll go with the middle one and we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and close the presentation on screen. So right now you should be viewing the Church Windows logo, or the opening screen with the logo of the program. Before we begin, just a few things. If it's your first time using the GoToWebinar toolbar, on there is a question panel, and if you open that up with the little arrow beside it, you can type questions in the question panel, and Rachel is here and she will be answering questions while I'm showing you how to use the scheduler, how to set an event on there. After we're done, then I'll open the floor and you can type questions in there and I'll read them out loud and answer them for everyone. But Rachel will answer questions while I'm showing you the material. Today's webinar is taken from our scheduler book. And if you're interested in purchasing any of the books, you can find those on our website by going to beginning and clicking on training workbooks. And here we list all the different workbooks with the topics. What I am going to show you today is taken from the Scheduler 101 book, beginning on page 17 using Scheduler. So that's what we're going to go ahead and look at today. All right, one more thing on your GoToWebinar toolbar. If it's blocking what I'm showing you on screen, there's a little orange or reddish colored arrow on the side of it. If you click on that, that will minimize it down, and then if you want to open it back up to use the question panel or anything, just click that arrow again and it will open right back up. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at using Scheduler. We're diving in, assuming that you've already set up your different items you can set up under Setup. We are moving on to how you actually use Scheduler. Let's go ahead and we're going to enter an event into Scheduler. Right now we are looking at the week view. If we look in the upper left, we see week view, and we're viewing it by date. That is my preferred view. Now we can change the date in the upper right. We can move through the calendar using the arrows to move to different months, and then you click on whatever day in the calendar you'd like. Or I can click on Go To and type a date here in the Go To. We'll just put in today's date. Hit enter and it takes me, if you notice across the top, we see the different days. It took me to the week which contains today's date, which is what I asked for. All right, we're going to go ahead and schedule an event. To do that, we can either double click. We're going to make a Friday supper that starts, let's see, we're going to start it around 4. So if I double click just right on 4 o'clock when I want it to start, then it pops it open, my new event window, and it just spans an hour. I can edit that if I want. I want to cancel here. My preferred way to set things up is to click on the start time, and with my mouse I'm just scrolling down until I get to the end time. This is going to end at 9 p.m. and then I'm letting go of my mouse and hitting enter on my keyboard. Notice when I do it that way, it's automatically filled in my start and end time. Let me get my little spotlight to show you that. So here it starts at 4, ends at 9, instead of just doing 4 to 5. By highlighting the area or the time span I want it to cover and hitting enter, it automatically fills that in. You can use either of those methods, and that will open up the new event screen. And I'm already, if you have the book and you're following along, there's a lot of screenshots, so I'm already on page 19. Now, to create a new event, after we've opened the new event window, we can fill in as much or as little information as we need, but we have to have a description. So we're going to call this one the Friday night. Whoops, I thought I was typing and wasn't actually in there. Friday night supper club. We have the start date and end date. Start time is at 4, end time excuse me, is at 9. If I wanted to change my start or end date, I can click on the calendar or the little down arrow here and choose it from the calendar, or I could click right in the start and end date that I see there and type the numbers to change it. Start and end time, if I wanted to edit those, I could click right in the area I wanted to edit and change it. Or I could use the little arrows to move the time up or down. If I wanted to change the hour rather than the minutes, I click on the hour and go up or down with the little arrows. Or if I wanted this to show as an all-day event, I could click all-day event, and that grays everything out because it's going to take all day, and it would schedule that and show it up in the gray area, all-day events. But we want this just to be from 4 to 9 every Friday. Could even set an alarm if I wanted to. Let's go ahead and look at, oops, I'm already, gosh, got all the way down to page 20, at location on page 21. If we look at the bottom half of the screen, there's different things that you've already set up. We're assuming these have already been set up. If you need to set up any of these items, each of these tabs has both a, well, it says change, but that is also to add. It has a button where you can add the information you need, or if you forgot to set something up ahead of time, you can click setup, and that brings up the setup screen. But we're going to go ahead. We've already set our things up, so we're just adding all these events and the different details. We want to put a location on this, so we can click change events location. And the location for the Friday Nut Supper is going to be the gym and the gym and kitchen. So we'll say OK. And notice it indicates the locations I've just selected. And that tab now has a number 2, letting me know I have added 2 locations. Now, page 22, I'm going to skip over to the next tab, Contacts. I'm going to click on Change Events Contacts, and that brings up people. These people have been pulled across from my membership module. In membership, on the individual record, I can indicate if I want someone to appear in Scheduler, and by doing that, it pulls over their name, address, and phone number, and then I can assign them as contacts for an event, in charge of equipment that I've set up in Scheduler, or assign them duties. If I create duties for a particular event and I want to make sure I've scheduled people to fill those, I can add those people to that as well. We're going to go ahead and add Nate, so I can double click on Nate's name, and we're also going to add Sarah. I can single click and click the arrow button. I like the double click because that's less moving of my mouse. And then once I've selected any people, I just click OK. And now notice it shows their name and their phone number. I'm going to move to page 23 and move to the next tab, which is equipment. It's pretty easy once you try this. I'm going to add equipment to this as well. I want to track that we are using or letting them use an overhead projector for this. So I'll add that. I can add as many as I need. Click OK. And then we'll move over to categories. Categories, you can assign a category for an event, and it can have more than one, but that lets you run reports for certain categories if you only want to see certain things. We're going to add this to building rentals and click OK. And then if we turn to page 24, now we're going to add some notes to this for ourselves. First event they are holding, they are hoping to meet every month. Oh, every other month. All right, whoops, period. So once I've added that, I can move over to my last tab, Duties. This tab lets me assign certain people to fulfill different duties. To add a duty, I can click on Add Duties. And that brings up duty, where I can now click just here where it has the arrow and see my drop-down list. We want to add a host to this meeting, someone to make sure everything is set up and ready. In the number box, I can type how many I need. We want to have 2 hosts, so we'll change that to 2. And if I know who's going to do this already, I can click under Assigned People. And we know that Ann and Brian Ellison are doing this, so I can move Ann over, move Brian over, and click OK. And now we have assigned host duty of this event and also assigned the 2 people who said they would host. So we have that information along with this event. All right. Now, if maybe I hit add duty and I realize, oops, I don't need a money counter. I added one by accident. I can just put a little check here and delete the selected if I want to remove any of that. All right. Top of page 26 talks about recurrence. We did make a note that this is their first event, but they're hoping to meet every other month. So we're going to go ahead and set this up to meet every other month on Friday evening, same time, same place, all the same information, but we don't have to save this and go to the next Friday and set up a brand new event on that Friday. What we can do is at the top of our little new event window, we can click on recurrence. And that brings up the recurrence screen where I can choose the pattern, whether it's going to be daily, weekly, monthly. Here we're going to say monthly. And we'll do it, well, let's see. We can't do it every other month. If we wanted to do it every other month, that'd be a little trickier. So we're going to change this to just meet every month for just the purpose of today's class, make it easy. We'll say it's the second Friday of every month, and we want it to go on for, we can choose to do this for after so many occurrences or end by a certain date. We're going to have it span an entire year, and then if we need to, we can always remove those from our calendar. But up here, notice I kind of jumped over recurrence pattern. If we do daily, then we can choose how many times in a row or every weekday. If we do it weekly, we can say every so many weeks and what day it's going to fall on. If we do it monthly, we can say what day. Well, here we can do, actually, we can do every other month here. I wasn't thinking here. We can say the second Friday of every 2 months. So that would be every other month, unless I'm thinking of it wrong. Or we also could do yearly and say every month on this day, or here we can choose the first, second, third, fourth, or last, and then choose a day of a certain month. So we can set up recurrences really easily rather than having to go to every single day we want this to occur. So we'll say second Friday of every 2 months. Click OK here. And let me see, make sure I didn't forget anything here. Well, they did in the book, they did the third Friday of every month, but in mine, I did the second because we're having it start this week. So same thing, just chose a different week when I'm showing you now. Let's go ahead and click Save. And now let's take a look. If we go to June, we don't see anything on that Friday, but if we go to July, there we see the second Friday in July. It's scheduled that supper club. And then if we go 2 months ahead into September, oops, here we go. It would be on the 8th because that's the second Friday in September. There it is again. And if we keep skipping a month and looking on that second Friday, it's going to show that recurring event. So it makes it a lot easier than having to jump around from one month to the next and add all your recurring events. Now, if there was a conflict, maybe I didn't realize I had something ahead in a future month. Maybe in September, I'm going to go ahead and schedule something here. If I schedule something in the same location at the same time, we'll pick gym and click OK. We'll just call it, we'll say Girl Scouts are meeting. Oops. And click Save. Program brought up a little conflict message letting me know the following location is already in use at that time. The gym, save anyway. Well, we know there's plenty of room and they were going to work together on a project maybe, so we'll say yes. But notice we can put things in the same place at the same time, but the program will let you know there's a conflict. You might want to take a look at this. When I say yes, that goes ahead and schedules it. If I were to say no, then that would take me back to the new event screen where I could either change my location or time or make whatever edits I need. All right. Now, if there's a conflict, we can, last thing on page 29, we can set a conflict color. If we go to the upper left and click on conflict color, here it lets us know what the conflict is. And you can see the color if you look at Friday, and you look at those two events at the very top of those. Notice it's shaded yellow. There's yellow along the side, and that's a category indication. But if we look at the very top, it shows that yellow across the top, and that's letting me know, if I look at my color legend, that I have a location conflict. But we know that it's okay because they're working together on a project. So, but at a glance, that lets you know that, okay, those two things are occurring in the same location if you have your conflict colors memorized. All right. So that is how you use Scheduler and set up an event. Again, on that new event window, let me just bring one up. You can add as little or as much information as you need. You watched me with the Friday night supper club, fill in every tab going across there, set it up as a recurring event. But then with Girl Scouts, all I did was put a description, my time and date, and a location. So again, you can fill in as much or as little information as you need, but you do have to have a description, a date, and a start and end time. All right. That's everything I wanted to show you for setting up an event in Scheduler. I don't see any questions that came in while I was showing you that. I think once you see it, it's pretty easy. Sometimes it can get tricky when you have those recurring events, depending on how often they're falling. But I'll go ahead now, and if there's any questions, go ahead and type those in the question panel, and I'll just read them out loud and answer them for everyone. Okay, I'm not seeing any questions coming in, so if you have a question, if you're in the middle of typing, go ahead and hit enter, and that way I'll see that you have a question and not close the room before you can type the rest of that question out. Real quickly, while I'm waiting to make sure there's no questions, again, if you joined us late, today's information was taken from our training workbook, which is under our website under beginning training workbooks. And it is the Scheduler 101 starting on page 17. Someone asked, does the program allow for a large church with many multiple events going on at the same time? Yes, you can schedule multiple events at the same time. It will just let you know said there isn't a conflict of space. Well, on the calendar, if I set up multiple events at the same time, I'm just going to call it test here so you can see. They will start getting a little crowded on the calendar. So, I mean, it's a little harder to read the more I put on the same date time. However, you can hover on that event, and the program will give you details of what you're hovering on. If you were to print a regular wall calendar where it just has a little square for each date, then those would get a little tight, and it would make that week going across, it would make it longer to accommodate for all the events that it has to show in that one little space. But you can create multiple events on the same date, yes. Someone asked, will this integrate with our website? No. Scheduler does not integrate with your website. You can, on the different reports, you can create a HTML copy of that you could put on your website, but the calendar does not update with your website or Google or anything like that. No. Does the computer send you a reminder about an activity coming up? If you set alarm, then it will send you a little reminder, yes, before it starts. So you can set the alarm on your actual event to have it pop an alarm up for you. The computer, somebody asked, does it send you a reminder? No, it does not send you a reminder. You can have it set an alarm now if I choose alarm, it can be right at the event start and all these different increments of time before that actual event. And I apologize, I don't remember exactly what the alarm says. Let's see, I could try. Let's see if I try real quick. It's 1:20. See, I don't think I can get this to work this late. Whoops, it's Thursday. Let's go to today. 1:20. See if I can get it to say 1:21. Whoops. Maybe we can get, whoops, helps if I go the right way. I'm trying to get to 1:21 before it turns to 1:21 so we can maybe see that alarm, because I don't recall exactly what the alarm is. But I know it does. All right, so it has a little alarm set. 1:20 on the computer. We'll see if you're still here in just a minute when the clock turns 1:21. We'll see what the alarm is. Oh, there we go. So there's the alarm. It just says test. It would give me more information if I believe if I had put something other than just test as a description. Now I can either dismiss, snooze, or if I snooze it, tell when I want it to give me that next alarm, or I can open the actual event and see what it is. So nice little alarm there. All right, we'll dismiss. Someone asked, is there a way to hide events when you print the PDF? Well, when you're printing, you can choose if you're doing a calendar or event report, either one. You can't hide events, but you can go to selections and choose to, create a calendar or an event report based on a location, category, equipment, contact duty, or duty assignment. So you can narrow down to certain things on the report, but you can't say just hide this one. No, you can't just hide an event, but you can narrow down to what you see on your calendar or event report. Are there other questions? Oh, thank you. And Rachel did say for that alarm, the calendar program does need to be open for that alarm to occur. I wasn't aware of that, so thanks, Rachel. That does make sense, though. If scheduler's not open, then it isn't running and probably wouldn't be able to give you an alarm. All right. I'm not seeing any other questions coming in. If you have more, then definitely type those or hit enter so I don't close the screen on you. I was showing you real quick that training workbook. Also, if somebody else signed you up for this webinar or user group, we do have different topics throughout the month. If you go up to beginning and click on free online webinars, this page is updated monthly, and here is where you'll find the different webinars that you can sign up for. They're all free. Typically they are 20 minutes. I know I did an intro earlier or Monday, and that was an hour long, but usually these are 20 minutes. Later on in the month, we have a preview of version 20. I think I'm doing the first one, and then Rachel's doing one later at the very end of the month. All right, no more questions came in. I just wanted to kind of talk a little more and show you some more things, see if there are any more questions, but I'm not seeing any more. So I'm going to go ahead and end today's user group webinar. Hopefully you learned something you didn't know, or you learned lots if you're new to the program. Sign up for more webinars, and if you have questions, give us a call or email support@churchwindows.com, and have a great day. Have a good weekend. It's almost here. Thanks for attending. Bye.